Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on where you are, and Happy New Year. It's Sean Wood calling from the VERICO head office here in Vancouver. Hope you all enjoyed your holidays and enjoyed your New Year's and had a bit of relaxation and rest and got your batteries re-energized for 2013. I know we did ourselves, and we're excited. Now it's time to hit the ground running and have a successful year. I think we all have lots of opportunities in 2013. So we're extremely excited to re-present. For those of you who have not attended before, this is our Professional Success Series. It's every other Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it'll be going on for all of 2013. And so we've had many attend, lots of great comments. And so please pass this to your colleagues. They're all recorded, all housed in our VERICO Academy. Now today we have a bit of a unique circumstance in that there's a small technical glitch, so I will share that one person will be speaking from one location and the other person is actually going to be flipping the slides from another location, so you may hear a turn the slide or a couple minor delays there, which is a unique thing that we'll make sure to solve for next time. But these two guys are pros, and today's host is Mike Alpert. And so, Mike, without further ado, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Welcome, everyone. Glad to have you all here. Happy New Year to everybody. And great to talk to you today. We're going to be talking about 3 specialty tools for attracting clients. And if you take a look at that first slide, you can see there's a picture there that has 3 things that we're going to talk about today as we go through this. We're going to talk about using your camera, pictures and videos. We're going to talk about local directory, location, so being able to tell people where you are, and we're going to talk about mobile access to everything that goes on about with your business. So on the next slide is a picture of me and Brian Tracy. My name again is Mike Alpert. For those of you that this is your first time, welcome. For those of you that have been with us several times already, welcome back. So just to give you a feel for what we're going to do in terms of an agenda today, we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to know your target. As we're talking about marketing today and attracting prospects and leads, that's going to be a really critical thing. We're going to go through 3 tools. We're going to talk about pictures and video, local directory, mobile access, and then do a little Q&A and talk about action planning today. Sound like a plan? So let's go ahead and move to this next slide where we talk about knowing your target. And knowing your target is the most important thing that you can do in marketing. It's really understanding who is your ideal target. And for those of you that might have been involved on our presentations a few months ago, in one of the presentations we did a quick poll and asked everybody who their target market was. And we talked about first-time buyers, investors. We talked about people that are remodeling, people that are looking to upgrade and pass into that. And many of you said first-time home buyers was really a key target market for you. So it's really important that you have a sense of who is your ideal target. And I know many of you probably have a mix, right, where you'd like to have certainly a lot of people that are first-time home buyers as your customers, but also would like to have other people that are investors, that are going to be people that maybe buy or sell properties with regularity. But it's really important to understand that you know who those customers are and know some of the uniquenesses that may be at play in your market. Some of you are in markets where often first-time home buyers are buying land and building on them. Some of you work in markets where there's vacation properties that are involved. So it really just depends on what you're working on there. So knowing who that target market is really important because you really need to understand what are their needs and what are the benefits that really differentiate you in a crowded marketplace, right? What do you bring to the table that makes you unique? So as we talk about any kind of specific marketing initiative, it's so vital that you really have clarity around who that person is that you're talking to. And as we talk about creating content and other things like that, it's important that you create that content with that person in mind, right? So let's go ahead to the next people. So one of the things that as you realize this, that we're going to talk about today is in terms of attracting new people, attracting prospects, and attracting new clients, is how do people find you? right? How do people come into contact with you? And I know many of you have said, and in this industry, referrals are so critical, right? And referrals come from different sources. They come from happy customers, people that you've already talked to and have a relationship with and have served and have done a great job with. It can come, as we've talked a couple times now, from social media. Some of you that participate in social media, I'm sure that if I asked you if you've ever had a friend on social media ask for help with something, and that could be everything from, hey, I need a plumber, to I need somebody that can fix a hole in a wall, I need an electrician, I need all these different kinds of things. Those kinds of requests happen fairly regularly on social media, and is becoming a platform where people seek out information from others on how to do that. Another way that you get referrals is through networking, right? And this can be good old-fashioned networking, going out, shaking hands, meeting with people, having a presence in the community. Some of you may belong to networking organizations like BNI or other kinds of organizations like that, where you're coming into contact and being able to tell people about what you do and how you do it. Another way people find you is through online, through the web, right? They find you through search. If somebody's looking for something in particular, they could find you through search. And we're going to talk about a couple different places where that comes into play. They can also find you through what's called a more localized search, right? So a general search might be a Google search for, a vacation home mortgage broker in a particular, as a general search. A localized search has something like a zip code, a city, a province name, some other things that really make it localized. And we're going to talk about one of the attributes that you get when you get localized is you get a map. You get a Google Maps experience or on other search platforms, right? Another way that people find you is just community presence, right? Not necessarily networking, but what do you do with your time in your community? Do you serve on your kids' PTA council? Do you go to events in your city? Do you sponsor charitable causes? How do you, and specifically your brand and your company, show up in the community that other people will have the opportunity to come into contact with you? So those are just some quick ways of how people find you that become really important in the tools that we're going to be talking about today. So let's move on and talk about what these three tools are and how we can make these tools really work for us. So the first tool that we're going to talk about today is your camera, right? Pictures and video. There's just been an explosion in terms of the pictures and video that are on the web today. And if you've heard of a website called Pinterest, that is a great evidence of how important images and video are today. Pinterest is a website, it's pinterest.com, where it's a digital pinup board, a digital cork board where you put things that you like. And it's all based on visual images, pictures. It can be links to videos. It can be all these kinds of things. And so how we capture these is we use our cameras. And really today, how the vast majority of these things get captured is with our phone, with smartphones, right? Smartphones have proliferated in North America to a crazy extent. There's some wild statistics out there. And so this is how we capture this. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see that this is just an insane number, but it's estimated that 300 million photos are uploaded every day to Facebook. Not 30, not 300 million photos, right? Facebook's almost at 1 billion users worldwide, and we're uploading 300 million photographs to Facebook. If you're a Facebook user, you see this show up in your news feed in a whole lot of ways, right? Whether it's brands that you follow, companies that you follow, or people that you follow, the images that appear on Facebook is really where you see Facebook's engagement. People love to comment on photos. It starts great dialogue, and just given that Facebook has become this visual medium of how people share things, it's just vital to that. So if there's 300 million Facebook photos uploaded daily, and photos and video on Facebook have shown to get much higher engagement. And obviously Facebook just being the largest social media platform, it's vital that you participate in this, right? And so the tool for you to use to attract customers is for you to take original pictures and video. And we showed a couple weeks ago when we did our last webinar, we showed some examples of some Facebook sites that do a great job of helping first-time home buyers and taking pictures of them at their closing or as they go into their new house, right? So take pictures, and I would really encourage you to take pictures with your clients. Take pictures with the things that you do out in the community, right? And take pictures of your office, of your team, of different things like this. And some of you are really doing well at this. But those things create that connection with people, and it creates something that people share and tell other people about, right? So when you take these pictures and videos, post them to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, to the places where you've chosen to play. Make sure that you title and tag them well. What do I mean by that? Well, it's been known in advertising, since advertising has been a practice, that headlines rule, right? So when you post a picture, wherever you post it to, the title that you use is vital for that. It is critical that it be eye-catching, especially when we're talking about trying to attract people to your business, right? That it be eye-catching and tell a story of what you want people to do, or creates intrigue, or has some self-interest for the person seeing it involved. When I say tag them well, that really gets down to tagging them with the people that are in the picture. So if you post a picture to Facebook of a new first-time home buyer that's a client of yours, if they're both Facebook users, you need them to, one, like your page, because then you can tag them in that picture. What that does for you on Facebook is then it allows everybody that is friends with them on Facebook to see that picture with your business name tied to it, and it gives that much more exposure to be able to have people do that. So I encourage you in 2013 to take pictures of what goes on in your business, shoot videos, and post them. It will be a way for you to be able to attract more people to your business. So let's shift gears here a little bit, and we're now going to talk about local directory. And local directory is a very critical piece, a very critical tool for you to be able to use to increase your visibility and to be able to attract people that are looking for a mortgage broker in their particular market, right? Because you need to show up. So, and where you show up, if you can advance to the next slide, is really on a map. And really what we're talking about here is Google Maps. Google Maps is the most prevalent place where people find things relative to local businesses and things like this. And so this map that you see on this slide is a search on Google Maps for VERICO Mortgage in Canada. And you can see, I know it might be a little hard to see on the screen, but all those little red dots are you guys. Those are all your businesses. And you can see that the ones that came up for A, B, C, D, and E are to the left. And those are the ones that Google deemed to be the most important. And so the first one was in Vancouver, and then there's ones in different cities, right? So we have Fort McMurray, we have North Vancouver, we have Toronto. We have different places that came up. So the part of the issue is well, why did those come up first and have information on the left? So let's talk about that. So here is a tool to check. So if we advance to the next slide, the tool that I'm going to refer you guys to is a great tool. It's called getlisted.org. The URL for Canada is ca.getlisted.org. And what this tool does, it's a free tool where you put in the name of your business and the postal code and the city where you are, and it does a search to try to find your business. And you may have to help it a little bit and get the specific listing that you have. And then what it does is it goes out there and it looks across 4 really prominent local directory engines in Canada. So it looks at Google, it looks at Yelp, yellowpages.ca, and brownbook.net. And what it'll do is it'll give you a score. So I've chosen to showcase today Riverside Mortgage Group, which is a VERICO partner in Richmond, British Columbia. And so you can see that their score right now is at 20%. Well, which is great because they have opportunities to go out and actually increase that. So why is this number important? This number is important because in the world of local directories, corroboration or having multiple sources say the same thing is vitally important to increasing your visibility of someone looking for a local business. And so this snapshot where it shows your score, it gives you a bunch of things that you can then go do to actually increase this score. Now, getting this score to 100% doesn't necessarily guarantee you that you're going to come up number one, but it gets you a big chunk of the way there, right? So let's go to the next slide and dig into a little bit of what this percentage. On this next slide, it says, where do you stand? And you can look at this, and I want you to call your attention to the columns here that are of real importance. You can see in this particular, this is the overview listing for Riverside Mortgage. And you can see there's the 4 search engines. And then the next column over says claimed. And it basically has an X or a check. And so what does it mean to claim a local listing? What that means is that you've contacted these particular search engines, and you've said, I'm the business owner, and here's really where my business is. And so it's a verification process for different sites. It's a very quick process. For some sites, it involves a bit of lag time. And so the nice thing is what the Get Listed site does is it actually gives you a link all the way over on the right where it says claim this listing. So if it's not claimed, you can go claim the listing. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to go claim all of your listings. Now, these 4 are the first ones, and these are the ones that Get Listed reports on. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you a resource guide that there's actually a list of about 10 or 15 more that are really important in Canada where you can actually go and claim your listings as well. These 4 are what Get Listed has deemed to be the most important ones in Canada. So the second column that I want to draw your attention to is called citations. And you can go and read more about this, but a citation is basically an inbound link or another site that references you either in name only or in name and with a link to your website. And so those citations are important because those have equity or those have value to the local directories to help you get found. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have citations. And we'll talk a little bit about where you can go and get those. The third column over is reviews. Now, reviews have become almost a have-to for retail businesses, right? That they really have to have online reviews of what that business is. In the world of mortgage lending, it's a mixed bag. Some people have reviews, some people don't. Many of you have testimonials on your website. I would encourage you to think about asking some of the people that have given you great testimonials to write a review about you. Now, an easy place to get the review posted and have no issues is Google. They can just write a review about your business, and you can send them a link of how to do that from your Google Places page and be able to do that. But that's a great place. Reviews, again, are other pieces of information that local directories look at that say, did this review tie to this business, to its physical location, and did it help with that? And then the fourth column over is photos and videos. With your claimed listings, you actually have the ability to post photos and videos. Almost all of these allow you to post pictures of the people, of the interior, exterior of your offices, and be able to post those things, post other photos and videos at what you do. And again, those act as social proof, but these are things that you can control. So where you stand, it's going to give you a report card of what you can do. And then if we go to the next slide, it actually gives you a to-do list. So that's kind of the next button down is a to-do list. And it'll tell you, hey, for your local directory, here's what you need to go do. Claim this listing. Oh, and there's a link to claim it. Add reviews. Click Add Reviews, and it'll show you how to add reviews to your site, right, specifically for Google. Photos. Hey, you have this many photos right now. Add some more photos. If you need to add some citations, click Add Citations. And for each of the local directories that it looks at, it gives you different tasks to do, right? So you can see with Yelp, you can add photos. With Yellow Pages, you can add photos. With the Brown Book, you can't. You may need to claim it first to be able to do that, right? So you have a really rich to-do list here of what to do. Let's go on to the next slide and talk about other things to check. The first thing that I would really encourage you to do is do a Google search for mortgage broker and the name of the city where your office is located. And click on Maps up at the top of the page. So on Google, you'll often see that they will show different results in the results page. But up at the top, you'll see there's web listings, images, maps. Click on Maps and see where you come up. See where you come up for those key mortgage broker phrases and things like that, right, in your city. Then another thing that you can do is check your listing on the CAMP website, right? CAMP is the premier organization for mortgage brokers in Canada, and it actually has, if you've registered with CAMP and you're a member, it actually has a listing there with a link to your website. Well, check and make sure that that link works and it's actually going to the right place. Make sure they have your right address information, because that becomes a place that can be a citation for you, right? The other thing to do is to check community websites. And so check other community websites that have local business listings. And great community websites to check are the Chamber of Commerce, to check your city pages if they have a local listing for everybody that has a business license. Check the local newspaper. The local newspaper may have a business directory listing that they do that's free, that you don't have to pay for. Check other community sites, other interest groups, other area magazines and things like that that may have directories, and make sure that the information is accurate and correct. And if there's an opportunity to have a link there, see if you can put a link there, because that'll give you an opportunity to have more citations that will help with your local directory. So if we go down to the next slide, and we'll go to a community page example, right? And on this community page, here's what you can see. So this is a community page from the city of Richmond in British Columbia, just outside of Vancouver, where Riverside Mortgage office physically is. And you can see what I did here is there's actually, you can see there's a business directory listing there, and there's an opportunity to search on it, right? So you can search for Richmond-based businesses, you can search for non-residential businesses. So I just did a search with the word mortgage, looked at all the businesses, and VERICO Riverside Mortgage Group comes up, right? Notice that it says what their code is, their NAICS code, which is just a classification for businesses, right? But notice the address. It says 12235 number 1 road. That's actually not their address. And notice that all the way over here on the right, it actually has a link to a map. So I clicked on the link, and if we go to the next page, you'll see that this map link shows that they're on a corner of a street there, and you'll notice it doesn't have really any other information except that it has this address there, right? Well, bummer is that's not really their address. So if we go to the next slide, you can see that the reality is different. And on this slide, you can see, hey, Riverside Mortgage Group, their address is actually 6033 London Road, which, if you look on the map, is quite a ways away from where the Richmond community page shows. So this is an example, and Brian and Tracy are wonderful people that run Riverside Mortgage, and this was just something that I discovered, right, through doing a little bit of searching around for some community pages of where their business is listed. And so this happens all over the place. I worked with a law firm in Ohio where their business listing on a very highly trafficked website actually linked to a competitor of theirs that was in the same building but was a competitor of theirs. So it's just important to go and check this information out, because this all acts as ways that people can find you, right? If someone in Richmond wanted to look for a mortgage company, they would do a search for mortgage brokers, and you want to make sure that you come up. So on the next slide, here's kind of your what-to-do list.
Hey, Mike, it's Sean here.
Yeah, Sean.
A good question, just sorry to interrupt you there, but a good question came in. A lot of mortgage brokers work from home. and they have addresses in other cities or their head office in other cities. What would you suggest for a home address in this case, or do you have an idea around that?
I have two ideas around that. One idea is if you work out of your home, I would imagine you probably don't have meetings with your clients at your home. That said, if you're comfortable with it, I would put your home address, right? And even though it's your home, it's going to give you the opportunity to physically show up, right? And do that. If you work out of a centralized office, then you certainly want to use that. Another alternative is that there are a lot of executive suites and other places like that where you can use a physical address. It may cost you a little bit of money, but they'll collect your mail, and maybe you can use a meeting room now and then if you want to. But it'll actually give you a physical address and a place where you can pay for reception services or not. But a way to look at this is to say, hey, if you work out of your house but you're not actually ever going to meet clients at your house, a way to represent yourself online is to look at doing an executive suite or a rental place where you don't necessarily have to pay for office space, but you can pay for representation and you can pay as a place to send mail and things like that. So I would look at those two options. I think a lot of people today are much more comfortable knowing that people work out of their house. And so saying that you work out of your house isn't necessarily a bad thing because people know that they can go meet you at the local coffee shop or restaurant, and as long as you're going to take great care of them, it doesn't really matter. Does that answer the question, Sean?
I think it does. Sorry for interrupting, but thank you.
No problem. So secondly, tied to local directory, I think that the very most important thing is that you claim all of your listings and verify the information, right? So use getlisted.org to claim those 4 key ones. And there's, if you want to go deeper with that, you can go to a deeper level. There's another 10 or 15 that you can go and claim those listings on. Those listings are going to be really important that you be the authority that say, hey, this is the address, right? This is where we are and this is what we do. Secondly, I would verify your information on the camp website. Go out there and find your listing and make sure you do that. And third is really go out there and check out other community pages where your business comes up. And make sure that the information is accurate, and where you're able to, make sure you can add a link in there, right? And lastly, add pictures and video. So what we did from step number 1, the tools that you did there, take some pictures of the office that you use, take some pictures of yourself working with clients, and post them to these local directory sites where you're able to do that. And try to plan on revisiting that, I would say 2 to 3 times a year. Go and change a photo, put some new photos up there, change that around and touch it 2 to 3 times a year just to continue to make sure, because this is a constantly moving thing. All right, let's switch gears a little bit and go on to the next slide, which is all about mobile access. And I'm going to give you a couple of quick statistics here about how big the mobile access is to mobile access about your website. And obviously with social media, almost every social media platform, a vast majority of activity happens on mobile phones and smartphones. So if we go to the next slide, why mobile matters? Well, so here's the reason why mobile matters. In 2013, more people will use their mobile phones than PCs to connect to the internet, right? So it's a big shift in how people use services online. That the larger share is going to happen via mobile rather than desktop computers. Mobile searches have grown 4x since 2010. There will be 1 mobile device for every person on Earth by 2015. So these and many other reasons to go mobile are on a site that has been set up by Google called howtogomo.com. So there's some great information on the site that you can, more statistics and things like this. So let me show you 2 more that I think are really significant. So if we go to the next slide, you can see here that this chart says that 66% of users find mobile sites through a search engine. So what that says is somebody's going to often go to Google or some other search engine to find what they want. The key stat here is what happens when they find what they don't like. And the thing that I circled here says that there are they are 5 times more likely to completely abandon the task altogether. So if you're on your mobile phone later today, do a search for VERICO mortgage broker with your city name and see if your site comes up, and then go to your site and see what it looks like and see if people wouldn't get what they wanted to get, right? Just go check that out. If we go to the next slide real quick, to tell you the impact of mobile consumption of web information and how that drives purchases. Now, certainly your businesses aren't like a retail store where somebody can go buy a widget off the shelf, right? But no doubt that a growing number of people are going to use their smartphones to check out mortgage rates online, right? It's just that's something that happens. I think the most compelling statistic on this slide is the one at the bottom here that says 50% of mobile searches lead to purchase. So what that says is if somebody's going to do a search on their mobile phone and try to find a VERICO mortgage broker in their community, the odds of them coming in to talk to you and calling you are very high. Now, that number of searches that actually finds your page may not be very significant today, but it is going to grow, and it is going to grow at a pretty rapid rate. So if we go take a look at the next search, this is just to give you a feel in Canada what is going to be the frequency of mobile searches, right? So this is based on survey data that was done on a really cool site called ourmobileplanet.com, where you can actually build your own kind of information graph, right? So I built this one for you guys to take a look at this. And so what this says is that 51% of smartphone users do a search every single day on their smartphone. So that says the adoption of technology has been pretty significant, right? Because if you look at it, it's 51% are daily and 26% are weekly. And then the number so what that says is we've moved into the majority of people doing searches almost every day on their smartphones. So it's happening out there, right? So if we go down to the next slide, the opportunity for you guys on this howtogomo.com website is that you can test your mobile friendliness. So I took this test and I put Riverside Mortgage Group's website into this tool, and it actually evaluates it and says, okay, how fast does it load, a couple different things, and it gives you a score. So Riverside Mortgage scored a 5 out of 6. Way to go, Brian and Tracy. Good job, you guys. And so it scored a 5 out of 6, and it loaded really fast. And that's important because a site that takes more than 5 seconds to load on a mobile phone, people are going to bail out on, right? They're going to abandon that. So this tool actually will test that for you. And then it looks at 6 other criteria to say, hey, how is your site doing? So Riverside Mortgage Group's doing a great job. And they actually have a mobile version of their site. So if riversidemortgage.ca on your phone, you'll actually see this very thumb-friendly website where they can get to things. And they actually have, if you were able to on this screen to scroll down below these 9 icons, they have a click-to-talk button, right? That they push that button and it actually dials the phone number of the office, which is a great tool because obviously you have a phone in your hand. So once you've tested your site, if you go to the next slide, you now have the opportunity to build a mobile site, right? And so whatever website presence you have today, the message for you and the tool for you to use is to make sure that site functions really easily on a mobile phone, because more and more people are going to be finding and looking for information on a mobile phone. So right on the howtogomo.com website, you can actually create a free version. It'll do, I think, up to 10 pages of your site for free, and it'll create an m.yoururl website for you to use. So you just put your website address in there and say, hey, make my website mobile. This is done through a partnership with Google and Duda Mobile. Duda actually has some more enhanced programs that you can do that if you check out dudamobile.com, they can show you some other programs that do cost a little bit of money. I mean, it's a little bit of money. It's $5 to $9 a month. And then if you really wanted to get crazy and go custom, I think it starts at $500, right? So it's not a lot of money. But to have that opportunity, if you know hey, maybe there might only be 4 or 5 people that actually find your site via mobile phones in a given month. But if 50% of those have a likelihood to purchase, wouldn't you want those 2 or 3 people to make sure they can find you well? So there's another option to build your mobile site. If you go to the next slide, that is a company called Be Mobilized. And they were covered in an article on Mashable.com, which covers social media and stuff. And they do the same thing. You put in your URL and you can get a free 7-day trial. You can get a low-cost free version of your site that has some constraints on it. Or they have a couple of paid programs that actually allow you to convert your site and have it be able to be mobile-friendly with a little bit of money involved as well. So those are your options. So if we go to the next slide, it's really about what to do. Here's your action items to be mobile-friendly. The first thing, again, test your site. Go to the howtogamo.com, test out your site, see how you score on that scale of 1 to 6, and then build a mobile-friendly website for free. Take your website as it is and have it converted and just get it made into a mobile-friendly site. All right? So you can do that through the tool right there on howtogomo.com, or you can do it through Be Mobilized. Now, if you take the step and you do this, I encourage you to please be able to promote this on social media. Tell people that, hey, we just went mobile and we have a way to do that, right? Also, I wanted to let you guys know that VERICO has a tool that will give you a mobile web page. It's really kind of a mobile business card. And so if you go to the tools.verico.ca, you can actually set up that for free, right? You can set that up, and VERICO will set that up for you. It'll have links to your social media profiles. It'll also have your contact information and a click to call. It'll have your phone number that people can click on and then be able to call you right from there. Make sense? The other thing to do is once you've set up your mobile website, make sure that you get statistics and see how does it do, right? See, hey, if people come to my mobile website, what are they clicking on, and are we getting calls from that, right? And so both of these tools that we showed you today will actually be able to track that for you and be able to give you those kinds of results, right? All right, let's switch gears and take some questions here. Does anybody have any questions about these 3 tools that we talked about today?
Someone does want you to go back a slide if you could while we look at these questions. That was very interesting stuff. There's a lot of things that I think everyone could apply for sure. Any questions you can type in the chat box here, and we're definitely happy to handle some of your questions.
Well, while we're waiting for a few questions to roll in, I want to go back and address one question that came up, and it was a question around cold calling, right, when we talk about how do you get found. And what I wanted to clarify, and it's a good question, right? And I think the thing that we're really focusing on today is we've talked a little bit about this idea of the difference of inbound marketing, versus outbound marketing. And I would put cold calling, mailers, setting up booths at events, doing different things like that in the category of outbound marketing, right? And traditional outbound marketing includes big media things like television, radio, print advertising, things that really interrupt people in whatever they're doing and try to catch their eye and get them to take action, right? So cold calling is definitely in the outbound marketing category where you are trying to insert yourself, catch people at their desk, at their phone, at their house, and tell them about what you do and to see if you can get them to engage with you. Well, that's a great thing to do, and outbound marketing, unfortunately, is the effectiveness of it is declining as we all get more talented about filtering out those messages, right, on the do not call registry, on spam blockers, on all these other kinds of things. So outbound is there. And what we're really talking about today is how do you get people that already have a need, that they're in market, they want to do a transaction, they're starting to search through their process, And how do they find you when they have that need, right? That's the premise of inbound marketing that says when somebody starts to search for an answer to the problem they have, you want to be in that consideration set. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And a few other questions have come in here while you're chatting away there, Mike. If I could fire a few over to you, that'd be great. One of the questions, for your customers to leave reviews of you, is there an ideal site, an ideal location? Where do you direct your customers to leave reviews of you?
Well, so I think Yelp has become a very trusted site. So I think in terms of quality and influence, Yelp reviews probably carry the most weight. That said, if one of the things that happens with Yelp has really matured their process of how to have reviews actually show up. And one of the outcomes of that is that if somebody goes on to Yelp and creates an account for a first time and they write a review about your business, oftentimes because it's the very first review that they've done, it gets suppressed, meaning people won't actually be able to see it. So Yelp reviews are really valuable, but they're most valuable from people that are already Yelp users, that are already making reviews of other kinds of businesses, right? So what Yelp really tries to protect against is somebody just logging on once and writing a review about one business and that's it, right? So a question you could ask somebody is, hey, do you use Yelp? If not, I wouldn't direct them there because it's probably not going to show up for you. I would say the best place to direct them, if they've never done a review before, is to have them write a review on Google. Now, Google reviews don't get as filtered as other kinds, but Google reviews are definitely the most accessible, right? So if they've written you a nice note or they sent you a nice email, say, hey, would you mind posting that on as a review for me on there? Another place that they can put reviews is Facebook, right? Facebook has the capability to actually support reviews right within its structure. So Facebook is a place that you can put reviews as well. My first inclination would be to have them put the review on Google. I think that's where you get the most traction from it. I think that's where you get the most visibility. So that would be my suggestion.
Great, thank you. Now, kind of a two-pronged question, I guess. There's often firms that have 50, 60 agents or 10 agents all in the same address. As an individual broker trying to attract business to your personal name but sharing an address with the 40 or 50 people, is that a challenge? And the second part of a similar question is, what if you're trying to market yourself more than just your address location, and you live in Richmond, for example, but you're wanting to do it in North Vancouver or Toronto or Calgary? Do these things have an effect on that?
They do, because the location of it, while it's important, the reality is, right, if Brian and Tracy are in Richmond and somebody's in Vancouver and they do a search and they don't necessarily specify a city name, if your business has become an authoritative force that you've moved your percentage complete on Get Listed Up, you will actually come up very high, right? So and I guess I'll use the example of the slide that I showed that showed VERICO instances all across Canada. Google decided to make the ranking of A, B, C, D, and E, right? Which ones come up first. And they do that based on all those things that Get Listed measures. Is it claimed? How many citations do they have? What's the authority of it? Are there photos and videos? Is it updated with some regularity? Does the website have credibility? And so all these things really act in concert together, right? So the more information that you put out there that correlates with itself, the stronger you become. So if your office is physically in Richmond, so I guess I'm asking the second part of your question first, right? If your office is physically in Richmond, you certainly service a wider area than just Richmond, right? You service Greater Vancouver and will go all over the place. So, but that's where the office is, right? And so from a local search capability, you just want that to be really authoritative. You want to try to move your way up the rankings, because then when people search in other cities, if Google says, wow, you know what, yours is really important, and other people say yours is really important, we're going to put you at the top of the list, even if they didn't search specifically for Richmond. So I think that answers the second part. the first part, the question is, hey, if you're one of 10, 20, 30 brokers operating out of an office and you're trying to brand yourself, does it matter if there are 20 people that all have the same address? I would say no. And I would say, hey, if you're on this line and you're trying to brand yourself, these are all tools that help you show up, that help people find you. So if you're going to brand yourself and you have your own web page about what you do within that company, then put that in there, right? Put that address information in there. If you register yourself as your own business, then I think it is important that you do that. And even if it's the same address as other people, I think that's fine. It gives you a way to increase the opportunity that you specifically would be found. Excuse me.
Perfect. And our shameless plug there is you can go and build in tools. You build your own website with VERICO. You can build your own mobile application in VERICO to help support your individual brand, co-branding with your firms as well. And there's another question here, and I think is an important one because, like any presentation, you go, these are fabulous, these are great, I love, love, love all of this, and then I walk away and say, I'm a busy guy or gal, person, I don't have time to do this. Is there somewhere where someone can go and say, I want all this done, please somebody do it for me? Where would you recommend? Or do you do it?
So absolutely, I think that is a great question, right? And so on some of these some of these tactical things like, just going and getting your get listed stuff set up. Absolutely, there's some specific things that you can go do. So there's a couple of companies that will actually monitor and manage your local directory listings for you. One of those is called Yext, yext.com. There's a few other ones out there like that as well. And there's some that will really push a variety of different marketing tools on you that will say, hey, we'll help you rank in Google and we'll help you do all these things. Just be very clear about what you're getting because these guys have gotten very good at selling, right? And they'll sell you a solution that may not actually end up delivering you any increase in terms of number of people that come there, right? Because there is a correlation that has to happen with, what the number of people that do searches for things and the other thing. Then at the end of the day, the reality is at Focal Point Reach, we do this stuff. Yeah, we'll help you. We'll help you coordinate this. And give us a call, and we'd be happy to sit down with you and say, hey, if you are busy and you want to leverage yourself, and you can use some resources that you have, we can definitely take care of this stuff. And I think the important part is if you do just one of these things, it's only going to help you a little. But if you do these things systematically and you do them in concert and you build up the layers of the cake over time, that's where you start to really see where more and more leads come to your doorstep, more and more people find you, your referrals start to generate second and third and fourth level referrals. So yeah, we can help you with that here at Focal Point Reach.
Okay, that's great to know actually. Is there easy contact information for you guys then if someone wants to hire you guys to kind of do this for them?
Yeah, the best thing to do is just shoot us an email at verico@focalpointcoaching.com, and we'll set up a time to do a phone call with you and talk to you about different ways that we could proceed. Great.
Now, great information. Lots of questions here. So I know you've got a few more points here. I'll pass it back to you.
Great. So if we go to that next slide, and I think really the top three actions that you can take today with these three tools that we talked about is really to use your phone camera and take pictures. Take pictures of stuff that goes on in your business, shoot video of things that you're doing in your community, and post that stuff and tell people about it. Secondly is get your local directory listings and check where you are. Use the ca.getlisted.org, add pictures and videos, make sure you claim everything, and get yourself so that you are up at the top of the list for people looking for mortgage brokers. And third is make a mobile-friendly version of your website. Go to the howtogomo.com and start with the free version, and then as you start to see results, look at actually updating that and getting into a more robust version. At the very least, go out to tools.verico.ca and set up your mobile business card so that you can have that information out there as well. So go and do these things and get started with that. And if you want to go bigger and you see more and more opportunity, shoot us an email at verico@focalpointcoaching.com, and we can talk to you about how we can help you when you're strapped for time to get these things done for you. The next slide here just has some additional resources for you. These are a couple of articles and other places to check that have the additional local directories that I mentioned, where you can get those mobile statistics, and then an article from Mashable that mentions the Be Mobilized site. So there's some very specific things here. The article on Facebook engagement has it goes a little deep from a technical standpoint, but it really shows you how much photos make a difference in engagement on Facebook. Now, of course, we want to give you a bonus offer, and since this is really specifically about taking action, please email us and we'll send you a special report from Brian Tracy International called Taking Action that's really about making sure that you allocate time to do some of these things that create the opportunity for you to attract more customers to your business. So just shoot us an email and we'll send that report over to you. And then a quick plug for my good friend Rupert here. In 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about a very appropriate topic to talk about at the beginning of the year. It's goal setting. So we're going to talk about Brian Tracy's 12-step process to goal setting and how to set goals that you know you will follow through on. So make sure that you come back in 2 weeks, same time, same channel, and check out Rupert talking all about how to set goals that will really move your business for 2013.
If some of our members would like to get a copy of the slideshow, we're definitely going to be sending out an email post this call, usually within 48 hours of the full video presentation. But, Mike, can they also just send an email to verico@focalpointcoaching.com and get a copy of the actual PowerPoint presentation? Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Great, great. So verico@focalpointcoaching.com for a copy. I've seen a few people request that already. You can just send an email to them, and they will send you this, as well as the full video recap of, Mike's commentary around this will be available in the next couple business days here at VERICO as well on the VERICO Academy. Any final comments, Mike?
I guess I think just the most important thing is to say that, hey, as you're out there trying to attract people, if you agree with the concept that people find you through a variety of sources, and you know how important referrals are to your business versus going out there and knocking on doors and things like that, know that what's happening on the web today and how the landscape's changing and how social media has infused so many things, just know that these things are really important, and as trends start to happen in 2013, know that visual images matter, know that how people find you really matters. And so I think the more things that you can do in accumulation and on an ongoing basis to make yourself highly visible so that people find you and that people can find you on their mobile phones will really just increase your chances to generate more and more leads and become the place that people turn to for their mortgage needs in your market.
Well, fabulous. I think that's a great slide to end on as well, is take action. Take action. Make 2013 the year of take action. You lock your door, shut off your phone, your email, and take these action steps. And what we'd love at VERICO, and Focal Point would love it as well, we'd love at VERICO to hear, I've taken some action, here's my results, that has been effective. Those type of comments we would love to continue to see. We wish you all the best in 2013. It's every second week this session will be held. You can always find this on VERICO Academy to revert and re-listen to multiple times. And much success this year. We'll be talking to you a lot of times throughout the year. And remember, if you want the copy of this, send it to verico@focalpointcoaching.com. Have an excellent day and weekend coming up here. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks for our next session with Rupert. All the best, everybody.